This week I decided to use a cookbook to get ideas for recipes. Although my son really wanted lasagna, so I went ahead and chose that. And then I am going to do something easy on Monday night because we have a busy night. But the other recipes came from the cookbook by Cassie Joy Garcia. I really like the cookbook, but my family is really picky, and so they wouldn't eat most of the recipes out of there. Otherwise, I would use it more often. So I decided to go with her chicken bacon ranch casserole, which I really like, and the Swedish meatballs. I don't know that I've ever tried her Swedish meatballs, but I'm going to try it this week. And then she had a white chicken chili recipe that looked pretty good. For the rest of the week, I'm going to just say leftovers because I think we'll have plenty. So for the first recipe, I got some sausage and some beef. I'm going to mix together for the meatballs. Then I'll use the potatoes and the chicken broth and the cream to make the sauce. I'll use this chicken breast, this big pack of chicken breast, to go ahead and make this recipe and the chicken bacon ranch recipe. Forgot I needed corn as well for the soup. So here's the potatoes again. We're going to use this one also for the chicken bacon ranch recipe and the chicken. I'll just cook it all at the same time and then split it up. The fried rice is super easy. I'm just going to use rice I already have, and I bought some pre-shredded carrots so that I don't even have to do that. Make it so easy. Cut up this, throw it in with a scrambled egg, and this is probably the easiest recipe this week. This is also pretty easy. And I know it's funny to have lasagna that is just cheese, but my kids do not eat it any other way. So that's why I have to make it this way. Kind of boring, but it's a crowd pleaser. We'll have a salad with it. So here I am. Basically, I want to put sauce on the bottom because it will keep the noodles from sticking. And these are ready to use in the oven noodles. So you want to make sure you have plenty of sauce surrounding each noodle so that they can kind of boil in the sauce while they cook. And this sauce, or this box didn't have a whole lot of noodles in it, so I was only able to make 2 full layers. And I just layer it with cheese between. Now you could add meat or other things in the middle if you wanted, but like I said, I have an extremely picky family, and so this is all they'll eat. See, I only had 4 noodles left for the top. Which is okay, because there's plenty, it's going to be plenty of noodly, cheesy sauce anyway. And then I use Parmesan cheese for the last bit of the top. Bake this, serve it, and voila. Okay, I love this fried rice recipe. It is so simple, so easy. You can use any kind of meat. You can use chicken, you could use ham, you could use beef or steak. It's super simple. I just cracked a couple eggs because our chickens just started laying, and they're pretty small, so I did 2, but 1 might even be enough. Then you got to make sure your pan is well buttered so that the eggs don't stick, and just fry them quickly. You don't want them overdone, you still want them tender. Then I'll remove those from the pan, and I'm adding avocado oil to the pan first, and then I'll saute the carrots, and I decided to add an onion to this. You could do green onions at the end or onions at the beginning. It's up to you. Toasted sesame oil gives it that really Asian flavor, and some frozen peas, which I didn't have as many as I thought I did, but that's okay, it worked. Now I put in about 4 cups of cold pre-cooked rice. So it's really important that you cook this in order give yourself enough time for it to fully cool in the fridge before you use it. So I like to do it the day before. And then I added ginger, and I added my eggs back in. And it's also important to add enough oil because you're going to need a lot of oil. I added more oil as I went as well. And then about a quarter of a cup of soy sauce and a few chives on top, or you could put green onions on top as well. So I pre-cooked all the chicken for the other meals that I was going to have them in on Sunday. I put them in my crock pot or my Instapot and I cooked them down, and then I shredded it, and I saved the broth also for the soup for later in the week. And one easy trick is you can shred this in if you have like a KitchenAid or a stand mixer. But I didn't have a ton, so I just went ahead and mixed it really quick. Then I did the same thing with the potatoes since they were going to be for 2 meals. I cooked it all in my crock pot or my Instant Pot, and I put it in the fridge and then pulled it out when I was ready for it. That's them done. And then when I pulled them out of the fridge, I put a little water in a pan and I let them cook through so that they would warm up thoroughly. Then I added the butter and the milk and some salt and pepper, and I just mashed them by hand, but again, you could put them in your stand mixer. So the potatoes were just sitting warm, ready to go, and in the meantime, I chopped up the bacon and some of the chicken just so it'd be a little smaller. Chopped that up and mixed it with a half a bottle to 3/4 of a bottle of ranch, maybe like a cup and a 1/4 or a half. Now you layer the mashed potatoes down first, and then you put the chicken on top. Now this recipe didn't call for cheese, but I went ahead and added cheese. I thought that would be a good addition, and some breadcrumbs. A little more cheese. Then I baked it and we served it with a salad. And my family's eaten this one before and we like it a lot. I'm really excited about how these meatballs turned out. I used a pound of ground beef with a higher fat, and I used some sausage as well, which really gave it a good extra flavor. Some chopped onions, some garlic powder, and sage, and parsley, salt and pepper, and 1 egg. Mixed it together till it was well blended. And then I used like a little cookie scoop to make the meatballs about the same size. Just rolled those out. And what I love about baking them in the oven is you don't have to batter them. You don't have to sit there and stir them and flip them. You just put them in the oven. They all cook the same. I don't even turn them. And voila. Now for the sauce, the recipe called for 2 tablespoons of flour or some sort of thickener. And I found that that was not enough. The sauce was too thin. So 2 cups of chicken broth for this one. I suppose you could use any kind of broth you wanted. And then cream, like a 1/4 cup of cream, and salt and pepper. But I went ahead and I added a little more cream mixed with some more flour. Then I added my meatballs after the sauce had thickened a little bit. It was still a little bit thin for my taste. But it had pretty good flavor, and my family liked this recipe. I think we'll do it again. I forgot to mention that I did use the mashed potatoes I used for the other meal in this meal as well. The last meal I made was the soup, which I started with butter, like a tablespoon of butter and 1/2 cup of chopped onions and a clove of garlic, and I sauteed them in the saucepan. Now, I accidentally did it a little too hot, so it got a little burnt, but I went ahead and added the broth. I had the broth from when I cooked the chicken, and the green chilies, oregano, probably a tablespoon. This needs more flavor than the recipe calls for. Paprika, chili powder, salt and pepper, of course, and mix those all together. Then I added the chicken. Now, I feel like I added too much chicken. I probably added over 2 cups, maybe 3 cups. And then I added 2 cans of beans. And then you let that simmer for 10 minutes and you add a lime. And I forgot to add the corn earlier, so I added about half a cup of corn. And I forgot to add sour cream to the actual soup, but you can add it in your bowl if you forgot like I did. This was a good one.